Liberty Nation. Truth is making a comeback.
Hello and welcome to Liberty Nation's Liberty Nation TV. I'm your host for today, Mark Angelides, and today we're going to tackle one of the major issues facing not just American kids, but youth the world over. It's the obsession and desperate need for fame in an increasingly shallow world, specifically in how this relates to the Parkland survivors and the Parkland shooter, Nikolas Cruz. To help us unravel this tangled web, we're joined by the ever-classy and incisive Sarah Cowgill. Sarah recently wrote an article for us on LibertyNation.com detailing the absurd amount of fan mail that this Parkland monster is receiving from what we presume to be other youngsters. Welcome, Sarah. Thank you for being here.
Hey, I'm happy to be here, Mark.
So tell us, what do you think motivates otherwise normal kids to hero worship someone like Cruz to the extent that they actually reach out and make contact with him?
I think it's a level of insecurity that these kids have. They see him as somebody who acted on his insecurities and his hurts to the extreme, but they understand that. It's kind of like the hero kid who stood up to the bullies, with a gun and shot him, which not the best way to handle things, but I think they understand and they reach out just to be a part of his world.
Okay. I mean, obviously this is almost like a two-way street, this fame obsession. So in your opinion, this clear sickness for people to be near the flame of fame, do you think that the almost predatory news agencies are locking onto this with the Parkland kids who are being sold to the American viewers? Like, what's your view?
Oh, you're absolutely correct. In any other kind of tragedy, say an earthquake or a tornado, they don't seek out children and throw them in front of a television camera and brutalize them, continually until they have gotten their story out. And with the liberal bent of the media in America, they and the DNC, they have prostituted these children. Sorry about that. They've thrown them up there as, hey, you got to listen to these kids because they're scared to be in their classrooms, and it's not fair to them. In 6 months, nobody will remember who they are. They won't recognize their faces. Maybe perhaps Emma Gonzalez and perhaps David Hogg, who's going downhill fast. But, the rest of these children that think they're part of this, face of gun control or gun legislation are going to be forgotten, just like DACA was forgotten. Nobody thinks about them anymore.
They really don't. So, I mean, even just a few years back, kids, they talked about, I'm so old here, but just a few years ago, the kids, they talked about doing things or being something that was worthwhile. And now it's almost like a media obsession. They talk about being famous, and they have heroes who, at least to me, they appear quite vacuous and inane. I mean, why? Yes. Why and how did this major cultural mind shift happen?
I can't tell you the how, but I can pinpoint it to Kim Kardashian and being famous for being famous. You find a pretty girl that is vacuous and you throw her on TV and, go through every single little solitary thing in her life. And little girls want to grow up and be Kim Kardashian, which is a worthless endeavor in my eyes. And you've got the basketball players or football players who are becoming heroes to kids. They're slapping around their wives and girlfriends and committing murder, and nobody seems to see that there is an ongoing mental issue with the young people of our world. They shouldn't be attracted to that. They weren't attracted to that 30 years ago. When Columbine happened, the kids were completely, holy moly, that just doesn't happen. And, those two boys were bullied and did not feel like they were part of the cool kid crowd. They didn't get invited to the jock lunch table or whatever their problems were. And that's how they responded. kids were completely amazed. Kids nowadays, bully people constantly and are chastised for it, or they are, reactionary. And then they go, well, we need to get rid of guns because, we bullied that kid and he shot us. It doesn't make any level of sense. It has to do with society and the way we're training the brains of these kids.
Yeah, funny you should mention training the brains of the kids. If you think about the huge amount of social media access that children have now, I know there's an article on LibertyNation.com just today or yesterday about the UK murder rate outstripping New York. This was your article, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And the police commissioner for London, Cressida Dick, her answer to this massive amount of gun crime and knife crime that's just shocking is that she believes the root of it is social media usage, which is a terrible, terrible solution to what is a very real problem.
Social media isn't the problem. It's the vehicle by where the problem is driven around and, into everybody's neighborhood. Social media does, like when somebody sees that they can beat up a mentally challenged man on Facebook and it goes viral, people are stupid enough to want to do that. But that says more, not about social media. It says more about the brain drain and what we've allowed our children to do and what we continue to protect them. They're all victims. Nobody has to take responsibility anymore, and it's not something that is going away. It's getting worse.
Very true. Right, let's move on to less doom and gloom. So,
excellent.
So, despite falling SAT scores and a frankly shoddy educational system in both your country and mine, kids today, they are pretty sharp, especially in terms of how well they interact with the world.
Yes.
So surely there's some hope that this fame obsession is just a fad. Well, what do you think?
I don't think I think they'll maybe grow out of it, but for a young age group, maybe, preteen to 30, they see that as a goal. It's not go to college and become a human. It's a goal to be famous. I don't think you're going to see that change until we start hammering these kids as kids. You got to get a hold of them pretty young.
Yeah.
You can't just hope they grow out of something. They won't.
Yeah, it's actually one of the people in the British Conservative Party mentioned in an interview the other day that this particular generation of children are dealing with problems on the internet that nobody else either before or after will have to. So, for example, when the internet came out for our generation, we were already mature enough and confident in ourselves that we didn't feel the need to put our whole lives out there on the internet.
Right. Begging for a comment, begging for a like, begging for affirmation that they don't get somewhere else.
Sure. And the kids who come after, they'll have this generation's mistakes to learn from. So they won't make the same mistakes. I mean, they won't be as trusting of, for example, Facebook as this generation is. Maybe there is hope that the next generation will be more free from these confines and chains of fame and celebrity. Well, thank you, Sarah, so much. I really appreciate your input on this. And of course, a huge thank you to you at home for watching. If you do want to take part in the debate, comment below. We do read them and they are valuable. For more in-depth discussion on this topic, you can read Sarah's article, Fan Mail for Parkland Shooter, A Wider Sickness, or check out more of our videos, radio, podcasts, and analysis on LibertyNation.com now.
Liberty Nation. News and commentary, minus the propaganda. LibertyNation.com.